Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to the Fairy Amazon Challenge in The Sims 4. We are following the reign of Queen Supriya Reed Daisy, who has recently witnessed a harrowing freak fire at the royal grounds. The flames which raised its way through the outer commons touched Katerina's youngest daughter Titania, and for a terrifying moment, everyone thought they would lose her. But she narrowly escaped death, bringing to Katerina's attention that her life has been far too perfect, and that someone's nature spirit might be envious. Some of our youngsters have aged up, so we'll take a look at them in cast, starting off with Prince Uther, who is now 18. He aspires to spread positive fairy stories through his actions in the queendom, and has developed the cat lover trait. I think this goes to show that he is a very religious and devout fairy who believes in the nature spirits as they take the form of cats. The recent fire, which almost claimed Titania's life, would be further proof to him that fairy superstition is real, and that he has to live in a way which appeases the spirits around him. I also think that he believes in the goodness of fairies because he was looked after very well by them after his mother died. In terms of his appearance, he has inherited his mother's wing color and size, and I think court-born males in general will have bigger sized wings than the peasant breeders brought in from the general population. Uther has a very unique looking face as well, and I can definitely see a lot of Queen Justin in him. This will probably serve as an important reminder to Queen Supriya about his usefulness as he continues to get older. You know, him being that link between the last dynasty, the last royal family, and this one. And that's all for Prince Uther. Lady Bran's twin daughters have also aged up into children, so let's take a look at them. Tinka aspires to be an artistic prodigy and has the loner trait. I feel like she follows in the quiet footsteps of her mother a lot and isn't really bothered by other things happening around her. I wouldn't call her oblivious. In fact, I get the impression that she notices quite a bit, but I think she finds more peace in leaving things be and pursuing what she likes. She also dislikes funny Sims, which I think stems from her mother's thinking that people look down on them and are therefore making fun of them. It's the one thing she can't tolerate, even if she usually keeps to herself. In terms of appearance, she seems really fine-boned like her father, which makes her really pretty, but she definitely gives me an elegant vibe, which I really like. There's a timelessness to her which makes me feel as though she's mentally a lot older than her age. Tinka and her sister also wear cat necklaces, which look like the vampiric bloodline deities Dark Pounce and Midnight Spot. So I think there's a silent admiration for the health and immortality for the vampires too. And that's all for Tinka. Sycorax aspires to be a slumber party animal and has the mean trait. I definitely think she's taken her mother's fears more to heart that their family is being outcasted by the others and has developed a bit of defensiveness as a result. She wants to be liked and enjoy herself and doesn't mind if she has to throw her weight around to get there. So she would definitely be more involved in everything than her sister. She also likes homebody Sims, which tells me that her way of thinking is quite in line with Crown Princess Lynette. She doesn't see the point of going out and doing things when there are others to do it for you. Life should be spent in the comfort and safety of home. In terms of appearance, she looks more like Lady Brent, her mother, with a broader, more masculine face. And honestly, it kinda suits her tougher personality too. She gives off a no-nonsense vibe, so I'm really curious to see who she'll get along with in the future. She's the youngest of everyone, so she'll have the least time to make her mark. And side note, but I find it very interesting that the Falcon Russell bloodline has purple eyes because their nature spirit also has purple eyes. It's a complete coincidence, but a really cool one. And that's all for Sycorax. We are picking up at 11 p.m. on Monday, and Queen Supriya was chatting with Katerina over here, checking up on her probably, reassuring her that everything is fine after the fiasco in the last episode, where her youngest daughter Titania caught on fire, and I have never seen a child sim catch fire before, and I wasn't sure if they could die. I checked up on it later, and yes, child sims can burn to death I don't exactly know what saved her. Maybe it was the fact she was in a different household, but still, I think that was a really close call, and everyone would be very terrified because that's the first incident like this that has happened in the current court. Nobody has even heard of a child catching fire with the vampires. I mean, they know a lot of the vampires have died off from divine intervention and such, but they have never heard stories of a child catching fire, so this was a completely new experience for them. The fairies are terrified. We have had some of the youngsters age up, so that has been very exciting. That fire was very prominent for Prince Uther, who has become quite religious, and he kind of feels as though fairy superstition is real. Like in the very beginning of the series, we talked about how the fairies, they have a lot of patches and stuff like on their clothes, and they have frayed edges on their clothes because they believe that if you are too perfect, you'll invite the jealousy of another family's nature spirit, and something will happen to you. Nature spirits will retaliate in some way. And as we know, life for Katerina has been very, very smooth sailing. And this incident, it was like a freak fire, would have definitely spooked Katerina and the other fairies. But let's see what's going on in their minds. So Queen Cypriea wants to play a card game. So let's come... you know what? It's probably closer for her to just go inside, play a card game over here. Okay, let's take a look. She has the least amount of relationship with Sycorax, Tinka, and Lynette. So I think we'll do Sycorax, Tinka, and Lynette, and we'll get the queen to play some card games with them. Now, the funny thing is, she's been giving a lot of attention to Katerina's daughters, and I think she didn't realize that she was kind of ignoring Brant, but this fire would have been a freaky reminder for Cypriea that she is favoring one family too much. And so I think she is trying to now give attention to Tinka and Sycorax, the daughters of Brent, and also her heiress. She's trying to give attention to her heiress, and it seems as though this is intriguing. So she's giving them attention. Now, obviously, Princess Lynette and Tinka, they're sitting at the table. They're okay to, play with the queen and talk to her a little bit more, since they've never really been summoned to talk with the queen as much. Cypriea tends to spend more time with Jadis and Uther, but Sycorax did not have the patience for it. Sycorax decided to kind of just walk out on the queen, which is interesting because Sycorax is the mean daughter. She's the one who has kind of taken on a lot of her mother's fears about them being outcasted in court. She's kind of soaked it all in, whereas her older sister, Tinka, knows about all of this, but she doesn't hold it against anyone, whereas I think Sycorax really does. And she's of the opinion that if you didn't want to include my mother, don't try and include me right now. So yeah, she doesn't want any part of that, which is very fascinating. She'd rather come out here and talk to Jadis or hang out with Jadis. Okay, that's fascinating. That's very fascinating. And Uther over here has aged up, guys. And what is this? Kayla and Uther, I think, took some emotions from the ghost of Queen Justin, and she is very angry right now. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's happening. And look, Jadis found a chance to join in. That totally is in line with her personality and her character. She sees how the court works, and she tries to wiggle her way into it every single chance she gets. And look at that, Sycorax came back in following her, and she's decided to kind of stay not at Cypria's side. I think she's decided to stay at Lynette's side, because in terms of her worldview and personality, I think Sycorax aligns a little bit more with Lynette than she does with the other kids. And I think because the queen has a bad impression of Lynette and Sycorax isn't really fond of the queen, she would kind of like Crown Princess Lynette. She would kind of feel as though Crown Princess Lynette is someone who is worth knowing. Very fascinating, very fascinating. I think it's a little sad though that this whole interaction was not from the queen's desire to get to know these kids. I think it was more her fear for putting Katerina's family in danger by giving them too much attention. So, yikes. That was very fascinating though. And you guys can see the fire basically went from this lamppost and it raised its way through the front over here and the outer commons. It burnt one of our benches and it burnt pretty much the entire kitchen, and it finished somewhere around here. It like went all the way here and then looped back, burnt the kitchen, and then went out. So I was waiting until I showed you guys the damage done before we start kind of fixing these things up. But we're gonna replace all of this. So let's replace, and I think the damage done over here would also have been very scary because the damage was done on the day that the new council was appointed. The freak fire, the accident happened on that day. So I wonder if certain fairies would also see that as a bad omen for the new counselors that were picked. Maybe Kayla and Brant will also see it as reinforcement that Bren and Katerina didn't really earn their position. Obviously it would be aimed at Bren, that Bren didn't earn her position. But then it was Katerina's daughter who caught fire, so now they would turn their attention to Katerina as well and think that maybe the nature spirits, they are not in support of this appointment. This has never really happened before, so it's kind of freaky. And sorry, Brent, she wants to work on awkwardness. Okay, I almost wonder if the fire would have made Brent feel as though she her luck that was escaping her, or I should say her misfortune, ended up being her luck because her daughters were safe and the nature spirits didn't target them. They targeted Katerina's daughters. So I wonder if instead of feeling bitter towards Katerina, she would almost feel thankful and maybe try and work on her awkwardness. So we're gonna send her up here. And let's get her to, let's see, where would this be? Is it, hold on a second, work on awkwardness in the mirror. Where is this? I don't see it. You can mentor? That is interesting. But I don't see like a chance to work on awkwardness. Okay. That's fine. I'm gonna just consider that complete. Instead, I'll send her up to the mirror and I'll get her to practice speech maybe? We'll psych herself up. We'll do that. We'll just psych herself up as a way of like working on her confidence. But I think she would be thankful that she wasn't in a position to be envied by anyone. Like her misfortune truly ended up being her luck. So yeah, Brent is going to work on that, and the timing was kind of perfect because now her daughter's children, they're old enough to be up and about the castle, or not the castle, the royal grounds, and they're safe. At least she can be grateful for the fact that they are safe. Katerina, she's the one who kind of got a very rude awakening, I think. She wants to rile up a sim. Okay, so we might start actually having some drama now. Things are definitely escalating. Who does she want to rile up, I wonder? She's been very like friendly and calm and peaceful this whole time, but now she wants to rile up someone. So within the household, who did she have the least amount of relationship with? She has 100 with Bren, a 64 with Brant, 100 with Kayla, and 100 with Supriya. Okay, so it's gonna be Brent. Now, up until this point, Katerina has largely been oblivious to any sort of jealousy that has been happening in the court. But with the freak fire that happened, and now the fairies are like, gossiping and everything about it, she is going to come to the most, I think, for her, sensible conclusion, which is this envy is coming from the only other fairy who has twin daughters, and that's Brant. So she's gonna rile Brant up because she thinks it's Brant's nature spirit, like her bloodlines, her family's nature spirit, that caused the freak fire. So she is gonna rile her up. Oh, this is very interesting because I always assumed that Brant and Kayla would start something. But it seems as though everything has kind of worked out in a way where Katarina is the one who is riling someone up. Like, I was not anticipating this. I wasn't expecting this at all. But okay, Katarina, yeah, she's gonna rile up Brant. Oh my goodness. Okay, Supriya and Jadis, they have the jokester dynamic. Look at that, guys. Look at that. They're getting ever closer. Okay, Katarina? She's behaving thus far, which makes kind of sense because we do have a bit of an audience. But let me go ahead. Hold on, you're gonna rile her up. You're gonna rile her up. Okay, Katarina. And I mean, she's friends with Brent, but that's the only thing she can think of. That's the most sensible conclusion that she can come to, is that it's Brent. Okay, there we go. There we go. And honestly, there's no knowing whose nature spirit it was. Could have been Brent's, could have been Kayla's, I don't know. That's the thing with nature spirits, you can't ever know. But yeah, she has expressed her anger at Bran. She's probably thrown some jabs at her, that it's interesting that her daughters were safe and Katarina's twins are the ones who took the brunt of that accident. So yeah, that's very, very intriguing. She hasn't lost her cool in a long time, to the point where I forgot Katarina was hot-headed. But no, she lost her cool with Brent. And I wonder if she's going to start actually seeing Brent as a rival now, because her daughter's safety has come into question. Bren, meanwhile, wants to freshen up in the mirror. Okay, Bren, let's get you to freshen up in the mirror. So let's come here. She's too tense. She is way too tense. Honey. And she's sick again, which needs to be dealt with. I wonder if I can get rid of this so that... Oh no, I don't want her to become very, very... I don't want her to become very uncomfortable. I need you to freshen up in the mirror. I'm gonna get rid of this because I need her to freshen up in the mirror. You're too tense. Stop being so tense. Come on, let's freshen up. Okay, she's gonna go and she's gonna freshen up in the mirror. But I definitely think she would be kind of tense and freaked out because she was overly cautious of Brant. And now this has happened, everyone's talking. Before it was something that was contained within a few fairies. Now it's kind of spread like wildfire among the queendom. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to take long for Bran to hear of Katarina going off. And she hasn't seen that side of Katarina in a long time. Or ever. So I think Bran, she would be... maybe thinking about getting a little bit flirty, freshening up so that she can check up on Katarina and see how she's doing. Kind of comfort her in her own way. Kayla, meanwhile. Kayla wants to chat with Baby, who is the father of Princess Jadis. So we're actually gonna summon him over. So let's teleport him over. Oh, hold on. Let's come here. Yeah, so Baby Bouldertail, he's the father of Jadis. And Kayla, we're just gonna chat with him. We're gonna have maybe a deep conversation. I think Kayla would kind of be noticing that the queen has been getting very, very close to Jadis, and I think, what is her opinion of them? I mean, bad compatibility with Lynette, and she has a bad compatibility with Jadis. Okay, so Kayla doesn't like any of the princesses. Fascinating. But she would kind of be curious, like this is Jadis's father, she would kind of be curious about her from his perspective, and wanting to know how she is in the female faculty, since when they're away from the main court, they'll maybe come into contact more with the male faculty and such. I feel like the faculty is kind of like intermingle? Yes. So she would be curious about that. Okay, there we go. And I'm kind of wondering how the other ladies feel about the new youngsters. So Supriya, actually the kids, now that they are children, I want to see the compatibilities that we have. So Supriya, we can look at it over here, but for the others I kind of have to go to just everything, like all the relationships. Supriya, she only has compatibility with 2 of the youngsters. Bad compatibility with Princess Lynette, Crown Princess Lynette, and good compatibility with Vivian. Okay. So that's interesting. But she has a really close, like, max relationship with Uther and Jadis. With Brant, let's see. She doesn't have compatibility with anyone. But I don't see, she just hasn't socialized apparently with Princess Lynette, because Lynette's not over here. I don't see Lynette anywhere. Intriguing. Katerina, meanwhile, let's see. Why are you in the queen's bed, Katerina? You're getting way too comfortable with the queen. Let's see. She has good compatibility with Sycorax. And she has bad compatibility with her daughter Titania, who caught fire. And she has bad compatibility with Lynette. That is interesting. She doesn't have a good impression of her youngest daughter, but obviously it's still her blood. She wouldn't be happy if her daughter died. Okay, Bren, meanwhile... The Queen's Chambers is so dirty, by the way. Bren has a good compatibility with Jadis, a bad compatibility with Uther, a good compatibility with Sycorax, a bad compatibility with Tinka, and that's all. Did I check Katerina with Uther? No, she had nothing. And then Kayla has a bad compatibility with Lynette, a bad compatibility with Sycorax, a bad compatibility with the Titania, and a bad compatibility with Jadis. Are you kidding me? Kayla doesn't like any of the kids. She doesn't like any of the kids. Kayla, what's going on? What is going on? I have no clue. And with that said and done, I am going to leave off here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.